Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're talking about another deck profile. This is Dark Pepe, Dark Performapal deck profile. To be honest, there is one proxy and a couple of cards that are missing. But there are the cards that are in place of the cards are not bad. They're just different, and the proxy makes sense in my head. But without further ado, let's get started with the main deck. A lot of cards that this deck has access to, not just Joker being at 3, but a lot of other cards as well that this deck didn't have access to before, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But first, starting with 3 Performapal Pendulum Sorcerer. Best card in the deck, searches out all your Performapals, is a generic level 4, boosts up your Performapals in scale. I remember reading a blog from 2014 on this card, and it said, his on the field effect looks bad, but his scale effect looks busted. Like, how little did they know. This is the proxy I was talking about. 3 copies of Performapal Skullcrab Joker. I've never gotten around to getting this one. I'm probably going to actually get the ultra rare versions of this card now that that's been released, but I haven't gotten around to that yet. So right now it's Summoner Monk. See, Summoner Monk is a spellcaster, level 4 dark. Performapal Skullcrab Joker, spellcaster, level 4 dark, and I have her effect memorized. You have to run 3 of this card. This card being at 3, when this deck, Dark Pepe, was at its prime, this card was at 1. This card being at 3 is super duper strong. For the rest of the Performapals, not too many. We're running 2 Silver Claw, 1 Parnaga, 1 Lizard Draw, and 1 Guitardo. Parnaga, searchable by King of the Feral Imps, low scale searchable by King of the Feral Imps. Sorcerer is usually your low scale. And then only 1 Lizard Draw and 1 Guitardo, because you don't really want to see too many of these. And if you get this effect off once, a duel, that's totally fine. And there's better cards to be ran. Speaking of which, the last of the Pendulum monsters, 1 Master, 2 Vector, 1 Luster. This is still a very strong engine, even though it has been power crept a little bit. Still a very strong engine. I was running the deck, and I was trying to figure out what this deck was missing, because I was playtesting it so long. I was trying to figure out what it's missing, and I was like, oh yeah, it's missing Luster, because still the deck's probably best play is activate Luster, activate Sorcerer, activate Luster, pop Sorcerer, search Sorcerer, activate Sorcerer, summon Sorcerer, pop Scale, draw 2, and you have a Luster set up for next turn. Like, that's still super duper strong. Master's actually not that bad, and Vector is a dark monster. But the reason I'm actually running Master and 2 Vector is so Draco Face-Off is actually never dead. But that's it for the Pendulum monsters. For the other dark, these cards are cards the deck now has access to that it didn't have access to before. And that's 3 copies of Sangan and 3 copies of Gofu. Now, Sangan, the errated version, is not as good as the old version. But this is essentially the deck's like win condition. This is kind of and I'll get to that a little bit later, but this is how the deck can really play really well this format. It's because of how good this card actually is. And what's cool about these 2 cards together is a free Omega, or free level 8 essentially, including Void Ogre. But Blackwing's also great because or Blackwing Gofu is also great because you can use his tokens like they do in Metaphors for Sorcerer to pop the tokens and get scale searches if you can pop nothing else. And you can use him for any synchro. So you use him plus Lizard Draw, who is searchable, to make Ignister. And you can also make level 9s with him. These 2, like I said, make level 8s. Just these 2 cards this deck didn't have access to before, and now that it does, it makes the deck that much better. For the rest of the Dark Engine, running 3 Armageddon Knights, 1 Zephyros, and 1 Shaddoll Dragon. This gets rid of your strikes that you have to deal with, and this card just extends your play so much. It's such a great card, actually, in this deck. Now, the reason why we're running Sangan is because Sangan can search any monster with 1500 or less attack during your first turn, and all of these cards, if you can see these cards, have less than 1500 attack, including Ash Blossom. These should be Ash Blossom, but actually, if this card was Ash Blossom, this would be fine. And I'm actually fine with Valor. Valor's actually not super bad, this format, because if you can, like, Valor or Trident, the Ram just kind of stays there. That's really the best I can think of. The Ash Blossom is probably better, but Ash Blossom's also more expensive. Ghost Ogre, I would definitely keep, though, in the main, and Max C I'd keep in the main. You definitely would consider, like, DD Crow as well, because DD Crow is dark. But that's actually it for the monsters. Onto the spells. Still one of the best spells in the game, Draco Face-Off. Just so many plays you can do just by drawing that card. 3 Allure Darkness, Thank goodness this card's at 3. 2 Dark Hole, because it's a dark deck, and it's a busted card. Especially in a Pendulum-based deck, because you can Dark Hole and Pendulum summon everything back out. At least for now, until Link Summoning becomes a thing. 1 Soul Charge, because it's Soul Charge. And 2 Mass Change 2. Now, I would prefer this card to actually be Duelist Alliance. That's another card I just haven't picked up. But the thing is, this card... Now, Duelist Alliance is going to make your deck more consistent, because you can search Luster, you can search Sorcerer. But... this card is a win condition against some decks. Now, other cards that could be runs like D-Barrier, Strike. I don't really like running traps in this because this really what this deck's trying to do. All this deck is trying to do is just combo off, draw into maybe your Mass Change 2 to get a Dark Law, but really combo off, draw into hand traps backed by like a Dark Law Giant Hand. Like that's all this deck is trying to do, and it actually does it very well. But onto the extra deck for the Synchro Monsters. 1 Void Ogre, 1 Scrap Dragon, 1 Ignister, 1 Omega, 1 Stardust. Your generic dark synchro, if you're running like a dark tuner, your generic rank 8 or level 8 lineup. And then 1 Xiaofeng. I really like this card. He really actually fits in the deck well because when he's destroyed by card effect or by battle, you can search a tuner, which is Effect Veiler, Ash Blossom, and Ghost Ogre. So even more searchability for them hand traps. For the extra deck, we're running 1 Leviair, Sangan, and Lizard Draw are your level 3s. 1 Majester, 1 Utopia, 1 the Lightning, Dweller, the aforementioned King of the Feral Imps, Castel, the mentioned Giant Hand, and the already mentioned Masked Hero Dark Law. Now, if you're not running Mass Change 2, which is definitely acceptable, I'd probably just switch this out with a generic rank 4 like Tornado Dragon, Diamond Dyer, Gaga Cowboy, Gaga Samurai, or Nightmare Shark. But that's actually it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you hit that subscribe button. I hope you hit that like button. But most importantly, guys, have a great day.